Hi, friends. I'm Katie.
And I'm Lauren, and welcome to Okay, but Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today, we're recapping and chatting about Bob's Burgers Season 1, Episode 6, Sliding Bobs, and Episode 2, The Land Ship. We always start off with a synopsis, so here is Sliding Bobs. Bob has a new exercise bike and discovers he's losing mustache hair after a workout. Linda tells the story of how her and Bob met, also talking about her love of his mustache. This leads the kids to each tell stories on what they think would happen if Bob didn't have his mustache. Jean's imagination leads us through a RoboCop parody where Bob gets a robo mustache. Louise finds answers that her father may be dealing with testicular failure, causing him to lose his mustache. She then tells her own story, a parody of Big, where Bob makes a wish and ends up with more than he wanted. Tina gets really frustrated with her siblings' stories because if they don't end up together, Linda marries Hugo. Her story is what their lives would look like if Hugo and Linda had married and Hugo opened the hot dog restaurant he always wanted. In the end, Bob and Linda are together, and Bob figures out he's giving himself testicular failure on the exercise bike. Say testicular failure 3 times fast.
No.
I love that every time I'm like, oh, this is fun. You're like, no, thank you.
No,
I'm
not
good.
doing that. Especially not while sick. My
No.
diction's not the best right now.
As always, we start off with our puns, though. So, what did you get for our vacant storefront?
Was the bleh, I can't read now. Now it's my fault. I got too excited. It's the outlet electrical supplies.
I got too excited for me. And then our pest control truck.
I liked this one. This was the Of Mice and Men Who Kill Mice Exterminators.
It's a good one. That's a play on the John Steinbeck novel of Mice and Men,
which I read in the 9th grade and did not like. I don't think I've ever read a John Steinbeck novel that I enjoyed. But to be fair, I think it's only Of Mice and Men and Grapes of Wrath. And Grapes of Wrath is the book that I've proclaimed as the one book from that one year of high school that I didn't read.
I don't think I've ever read Steinbeck.
He's part of the American canon. People continue to read it and find reasons to read the books. I mean, when I come to reading classics, I'm always like, if you find value in that, cool. I'm gonna keep reading the books that make the hallucinations work in my brain.
Okay.
That's what reading is.
So, we didn't exactly have a burger of the day.
No, but there was a hot dog of the day. I didn't find that one. It was View to a Kielbasa dog.
That's actually a parody of the James Bond film A View to Kill.
Makes sense.
But yeah, we had a hot dog of the day.
Yes.
So this this episode title is a reference to Sliding Doors, a 1998 film. This is our first physical appearance of Linda's friend Ginger. She's been unseen for 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, as of right now, we are about to start, as we're recording this, season 15 will be starting soon. We still haven't heard Ginger talk.
Okay, really?
Like, Ginger actually hasn't, like, this is the most we've seen of Ginger.
Okay.
It's always kind of Linda talking to her on the phone or telling a story about Ginger or something like this where she's there, but like, no, there isn't really Ginger. She's not. There are some people that love to like just play around with ideas where they're like, oh, what if Ginger is Jimmy Pesto's ex and all these other things when it comes to like that whole dynamic with the Pestos.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I mean, it'd be interesting, but I doubt that's what it is.
No, that's fair. I mean, it's like not everything is Once Upon a Time. Not everyone has to be interconnected 5 million ways.
Yeah. Well, I like that people like to have their fun theories, but with that, this episode shows she's known Ginger for even before she met Bob.
Yeah.
And Bob didn't know Jimmy until they started the restaurant. So that would make it, I think, a little bit weird if they...
Like, it's like, not quite the same thing, but it's similar. It's people like trying like find things to analyze, like where like people like we overanalyze to a fault, but like there's times where like you're overanalyzing past what's actually there. It has a term apparently. It's called corn plating.
Oh,
that comes from people overanalyzing the plate of corn from Encanto.
That's a thing.
Yeah, look it up.
What?
Corn plating. That's what it's called.
So when Hugo says "big day today," it mirrors the opening scene of Human Flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the same extras from the original scene are seen walking outside on the street. So they
Okay.
actually like tried to full do it like they kind of parodied themselves.
Yeah, basically, yeah, that's what it was. Like the other two were parodies of movies, but yeah, that Tina's was a parody of their own pilot.
Yeah. And then do you want to know the brands that Bob uses to stimulate hair growth?
Yes.
So we've got Growgain, and that's parodying the real life hair growth product Rogaine,
Mm-hmm.
SP Lashes, and Hair in a Can.
Why not?
Why not? And I want to start off with my favorite line that was just internet. Does my father have mange?
I have you're pedaling and not going anywhere, just like your life.
They tried robotic ding dongs and they were buggy.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
So I'm nitpicky as a cop. No, you're just not good.
Loss of facial hair can be caused by testicular failure. Gee, even your testicles are failures. They're trying.
This is my last one because this made me laugh so hard. Was you need a little face candy? Cocaine? Which, to be fair, cocaine is nose candy, is the phrase.
Yes, it's booger sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So you got right at the beginning, you got a lovely anthology.
Yes.
To start off the season with.
Yeah, which I was very happy about. I mean, like, I think that bodes well. I mean, I feel like how the first few episodes go, I would say usually bodes well for how the season's going to go as a whole, because it kind of sets up not their storytelling structure, but it sets up kind of like what headspace with the humor they're going to be in for that season, I feel like. So we got my favorite type of episode is the anthology episodes. Like that at this point, I think I can safely say for Bob's the anthology episodes do end up being my favorites, or at least very highly rated, because it's that cartoony. There's chaos happening, but it's like it's expected that the chaos doesn't interconnect, because there's right now the chaos of the overarching storyline is he's losing his mustache hair.
Mm-hmm.
But the stories are supposed to be spliced because they're the three kids telling their own stories of how something happened. Are the anthologies always the kids' stories?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes other people decide to join in.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which I love so much. It's mostly the kids, but
well,
it makes get an opportunity where it changes a little bit.
It makes sense that it's mostly the kids, because like they have three very different opinions on everything in life.
And that's when your imagination's really full and bright, and you have all these fun thoughts. Like as an adult, you still have an imagination as an adult, but it's very different from when you're a child.
Oh yeah.
I did write down though that I guess I feel about my husband's beard how Linda feels about Bob's mustache. So I very much related to Linda through this. Because I love if anybody doesn't know already, my husband has a very long, voluptuous beard that I love.
I love a good anthology episode, and I love a good flashback episode, and this was somehow both. Like, truthfully.
You got both.
I got both.
You got to see a little bit. You got to see how Bob and Linda met. And it's just, I find it absolutely hilarious that the way they met was him getting hurt by an engagement ring that he could never afford.
Yeah.
But she still leaves him leaves Hugo for him, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
How she ends up with Hugo anyways is also confusing. Like, how did Linda end up with Hugo?
Some things I'm assuming, do I find out?
I don't.
Oh, we don't know?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, interesting. Sounds like maybe some things are just the world might never know.
So, which anthology was our favorite?
I think Tina's was my favorite. I think I would rank it Tina, Jean, Louise this time. Big, like I understand the big reference, but like that one, I guess that one I think has the least notes. I think the only note I have on that one is Louise's speculation big. That's the only note I have for that story. So like, which again, it was the middle one. The middle ones tend to be the least favorite, although the Gale Tales is not addictive because I liked all of the Gale Tales ones.
Yeah.
But
that's Gale Tales though.
It's Gale Tales. But this one, yeah, Louise's might have been my least favorite. I think Tina's was my favorite. But I wrote this down in the in-between, testicular failure, and then I wrote down, you have network connectivity problems. It's the joke that came to mind. If you don't know, the scene from Parks and Rec where Leslie is sick, fun fact, I'm also sick, and she's running away, and Chris Pratt's character, we don't like Chris Pratt as a person, but as Andy Dwyer, he was very funny.
Yeah.
And one of the few, because Parks and Rec really did not let a lot of like improvs or a lot of ad libs into the show. Their scripts were pretty solid, but they would like usually do like one take, or people would like improv whatever. His thing of like, I typed your symptoms into this search bar and it says you may have network connectivity problems, was an ad lib that was so good they had to leave it in.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. I mean, I miss when Chris Pratt was like that.
When he was kind of a nice person.
Yeah. Before he got buff.
And he let it go to his head.
All of it to his head.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine Chris Pratt's personality has got to be very much like his character in Passengers.
I've never actually seen Passengers.
It's infuriating.
Okay.
That movie infuriates me.
Good to know, considering he's one of 2 characters in that movie.
Uh-huh. Oh, I love Jennifer Lawrence is my problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Huge fan of her. That's the only reason I watched the movie. And then Chris Pratt the whole time, I'm just like, I don't like this person.
My thing with Chris Pratt I don't know why this randomly turned into a Chris Pratt bashing session, but because
should it always
nothing
be?
to do with this podcast or this episode. But my thing with Chris Pratt and what's currently happening now is he's being cast in a lot of voiceover roles, where he doesn't. I mean, yes, he does act. Like I buy the the vocal inflection of the performance, but he doesn't do anything to his voice. Like, it's just Chris Pratt as Mario or Chris Pratt as Garfield. Like, he's not doing anything, like where other voice actors like may give a similar performance, but like it just a shift of the voice a little bit, so it doesn't just sound like a person in an animated cartoon.
Like, and I know I'm a huge fan of Jack Black, and he does a lot of voiceover.
He was so good as Bowser.
But he's amazing as Bowser. You know it's Jack Black. You can tell that it's Jack Black. But like every character he kind of plays with voiceover work, you can tell it's him, but he does such a good job with it. And then you have, what's his face? Pothead. Seth. What's his last name?
Seth Green?
No. The one that he plays Donkey Kong.
Oh. What is it? Okay, here's the Googling. Seth Rogen.
Rogen, thank you. I was like, what the hell? I love him. I think he's a great actor. He's really funny. I could do without Sausage Party and be okay, I think. I think that's the one thing that I'm like, no, thank you. That he's done. But even he doesn't do a lot of work. Like, he does voiceover work, but he doesn't change his voice either. But there's something about him that it's like you don't mind as much because he has such a unique voice.
What I think it matters is like he doesn't do a lot to change his voice, but because his natural voice works for the characters.
Exactly.
Is the difference.
Not Chris Pratt.
Not Chris Pratt. Because his voice is too recognizable as his face, I think is the... I mean, so is Seth Rogen's, but his voice is also... Chris Pratt's voice is fairly neutral, I would say. There isn't a whole lot to it. This is like, say, a lot, like voice actors, because like they can change a lot about their voice and some don't. Grey Delisle, or I don't know what her name is. That's the name I know her under. Most of her characters, you know that it's her. Like, she has characters that have accents or a little bit of an inflection, but she does something, just it's a subtle difference. It's not like a huge change to her voice. Like Daphne from Scooby-Doo, Azula, Vicky from the Fairly Odd Parents, like they all sound like her, but not in a bad way.
Makes me think of Jane Lynch too.
Yeah. Again,
she's got such a unique voice.
But then her voice works for the characters that she plays. Exactly. That's exactly it.
They just really see, oh, Chris Pratt is popular. Let's put him in everything.
Like
he's the Scarlett Johansson of male actors.
Yeah. Oh, you killed me there. Yes, Chris Pratt is the Scarlett Johansson of animated cartoons.
I couldn't help it because I know that we did our Jurassic Park episode a while ago, but as we're the week we're recording this is when they finally actually announced and showed
there's pictures
from the next Jurassic Park movie, or Jurassic World, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, oh, I knew this forever ago, but cool. And I'm loving, I'm excited because of the other people in the movie. I don't mind Scarlett Johansson, but she's just Scarlett Johansson.
She's in a lot. This will be my last thing about voice actors so we can get back to Bob's. But
oh yeah,
Hannah Waddingham as a voice actor. She's still new to voiceover work in total, but this is also the difference. Voice is so important regardless of the character that she plays. Because She also understands singing in voice because she's a stage performer
Yes.
as well. So like listening to Rebecca Welton versus like watching a bootleg clip of her in Spamalot versus just listening to her speak versus Krapopolis, the clips from Garfield because she was in that too. It still
That's
sounds
the
like
only reason I could watch that
it
movie.
still sounds like her. You can still tell it's Hannah Waddingham. However, Deliria you'd think would sound the same as Rebecca Welton. She doesn't. There's something different in the
No.
way she speaks, the cadence, the accent. What the character she played in Garfield is there's a difference there. It's her voice, but there's a difference there. She's good at those subtle differences that make the character because voice is really what she thrives in. She's so good with that. It's my last thing about voice acting because I
Look,
could go on 5 million rants about
yeah, we
different
really
actors like
could.
that.
This just turned into all the actors that we think are better than Chris Pratt.
Yes, I think that's the thesis statement is most voice actors are better than Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Back
Anyways,
to
any
Bob's
other thoughts
Burgers.
on Bob's Burgers?
Back to Bob's Burgers. I think I like this one. Honestly, I stand by that I said before that Tina's revamp of their pilot was my favorite. I thought that was the most creative take on it. I did appreciate the like done, they're in love, the slap of love is what I wrote down because I just like they meet, they're in love, end of story. But I did love that like they were so pointed. The kids were so pointedly different in that universe, and like Louise was like, "How could you do this to me?" Because it was too funny.
It was amazing. And like Tina's right with that. The writers did, I think, a really great job because they like when you look at Hugo, the kids would probably have been they would have been, of course, extremely different, but also possibly very dull
Yeah.
compared to their personalities that they have.
Oh yeah.
Um it's kind of jarring seeing them like that too, and you're like, oh no, they're Hugo's children. What's happened?
There's something about the bright yellow blonde hair that's just very unsettling.
It's extreme, especially on Louise.
Yeah. And like the princess dress.
It hurt my brain. It hurts my brain.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Nope.
You know?
I actually wrote Princess Louise is scary.
Yes.
I did love them coming back to, of course, the first episode too, with Mort being like, "All right, I'm gone." When they're like, "Wiener dogs." There's wiener dogs and the hot dogs.
Yeah, that was a take. There's wiener
I
dogs and the
mean,
hot dogs. I mean, that's a very kid like take. Be like, what's the worst thing I could say is in this? I mean, she could have recycled the human meat thing, I guess.
yeah, that's pretty much what I think. That's what that
I mean,
was.
yeah.
But I love how it's different with Hugo though, because he's automatically like, "Oh yeah, it's wiener dogs." Like there is no be like, "No, no, of course not." Like no, they just completely
Like, yep,
that's what that is.
yep. But it came from a genuine place of like, is that not how you make wieners? Like,
Which
no.
explains a lot.
No, you don't. You make it out of literally any other kind of meat. What is this I said before? Unmarinated meat?
How weird was it seeing Bob without his mustache?
It was very strange, I will say. It was odd because like it's a character, it's an aspect of his character that we're used to seeing, and like almost kind of like when we see them
And
from
we've seen it before.
yeah, like almost like when we see like them from different angles, like you forget how like because like I feel like the straight on animation is not something you see very often, like in other kinds of animation. But like for them, that's what we mostly see is like the head on angle. So like when they turn to the side and you see a slight profile, you're like, I don't know how I feel about this.
These characters look different.
I don't like it because like The Simpsons, it's weird to see Simpsons characters head on because they're almost always slightly turned to the side.
Yes.
So it's like when you see like them like just like the front, like this, I know it's weird. I don't like it. My brain cannot compute.
I truly cannot wait for you to be able to see the art with the movie because they get the higher budget. It is to me so beautiful because I love animation styles. It's almost like the lighting gets to the point. It's like almost like is it Studio Ghibli or Ghibli? Is it Ghibli?
I don't know. I say
Ghibli?
both. I'm sure there is a because
Yeah.
I'm sure there is a preferred pronunciation. But
I tend to say Ghibli because saying Ghibli sounds like I'm trying to say giblets.
Yeah.
But the Bob's Burgers movie almost has like it's crisper, it's cleaner, but it gives me like a Studio Ghibli vibe almost watching it, and I really love it. Which I'm actually angry. I was like depressed yesterday and wanted to turn on the movie, and it's not on streaming services at the end of August. I'm heartbroken.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted by looking up how Ghibli is pronounced.
Oh no.
Because it sounds like
We're both are wrong?
No, but almost like both are. Oh, what? Okay, so earlier in this
What?
article it says it's Ghibli, not Ghibli, so with a hard G. But then at the bottom it says all three of these meetings are pronounced with a hard G. Miyazaki decided to pronounce his studio as Ghibli for us non-Japanese speakers. So
Oh.
I
Both?
think the answer is it doesn't matter.
I'm going to stick with Ghibli because I like the way it
There you
sounds.
go.
All right, it's time. What did you rate this one?
So Sliding Bobs, our season 6 premiere, gets 9s across the board. It's 27.
Yay!
Like
That's
it's
good. That's
it's a great
good.
score. It's a great place to start. It's not quite a 10 because like I say it's
Mm-mm.
not quite a 30. Like that's really sometimes what differentiates a 9 from a 10 is just a gut feeling. Like I say all the
Yeah.
times, like sometimes like the reason why a book gets a 5 star is like I don't know, something special in the reading magic. That's all I got for you. So like Gale Tales was one, like unequivocally that one just had everything. I liked all three of the anthologies. I would say like I didn't quite care. I mean, I said before I didn't really quite care for the Big reference one. I like Big as a movie, just that one just didn't hit as well for me.
Yeah.
And the RoboCop one was fine. I enjoyed one of the three anthologies, but I liked the overall story and how the whole thing came back around to just his mustache is thinning, and he did it to himself by sitting on a exercise bike. But like it was good plot, good character, good personal, but it's not quite a 10. I cannot explain
Mm-hmm.
why, so it gets 27.
That's fair. I did 8 for plot and personal, and a 10 for character because the characters are just so much
Mm-hmm.
fun in this. I have like the lines are great, everything's fun. So this is a 26. So we're actually only a point off from each
Nice.
other. Again, we keep
Oh
doing
yeah, we
that.
like that last week. Or not last week. That like that. We're recording these episodes. Normally they're done on the same day. We're recording them one day off because we didn't have an evening this week to record for extended periods of time because life is crazy
It's
and
been a week.
it's been a week.
And we're gonna do this pretty much back to back because we're recording Bob's today on a Friday. We're gonna turn around and record again on Monday.
Yeah, very quick turnaround for us. And again, I said this in the once episode for this week. It's because Lauren is impatient and doesn't want to wait to do episode 6 of Once Upon a Time because it's gonna be fun.
I understand that though because the next 2 episodes in Bob's is Halloween and Christmas. Or
Oh,
Halloween, I'm
nice,
sorry, Halloween and Thanksgiving. Like our next two
nice.
episodes, our next 3 episodes actually in Bob's are all the holiday episodes.
Oh, okay.
Which this is where you can really see where it's like when you've got the Halloween, the Thanksgiving, and the Christmas back to back, that is where we very much get to see football schedule fucks up Bob's.
Yeah.
Because we
Also, I
have
mean,
weeks between sometimes.
yeah, and I guess I mean we're gonna talk about it in a second, but Landship is very much like that back to school
Mm-hmm.
like assembly kind of thing that you see every year, so that makes sense for the schedule.
Oh yeah. So that's where a lot of us get really angry because so right now I know this will be out after this happens, but as we are recording this, they are actually going to be releasing more episodes of season 14.
Mm. Okay.
So they didn't finish it, at the end of the season, but since they still have, I think it's an episode or two, we get another episode September 8th. And then later on in the month is when they're going to start season 15. So
Gotcha.
I really love Bob's for doing this because a lot of us were of course very upset that we didn't get holiday episodes for season 14. We didn't get we didn't get as many episodes due to the writer's strike.
Yeah,
But we of course support the writer's strike, so that's fine.
absolutely.
For them to be like, here, we're gonna slide you some more before we get started with the next season. It's just like this is one of the reasons I love this show. They're just like,
Mm-hmm.
we got you. Like, here's your
Yeah.
fix. All right. Time for season 6, episode 2, The Land Ship. The Belcher kids are at their annual assembly about their town's tradition of the land ship, but there's also a graffiti artist tagging all over the school called Ghost Boy. Tina's classmates tell her she's boring and she takes it to heart. She figures out who Ghost Boy is and joins him in his extracurricular activities, trying to prove everyone wrong. Ghost Boy and Tina start tagging places all over town and they go for the big one. They tag the sail on the land ship. Tina can't deal with the guilt, and her siblings cover the tag up on the sail the night before the parade. Ghost Boy breaks up with Tina and life moves on. Bob's Burgers ends up with porta potties in front of the restaurant for the parade, leading to the adults to do anything they can to get rid of them. The porta potties help Bob's in the end, bringing them many customers. I secretly like really enjoy the whole like them trying to get rid of the porta potties. It's just
Mm-hmm.
so funny.
Yeah.
But what did you get for the vacant storefront?
That was wristing. Try that again.
2 for 2.
2 for 2. It was resisting arrest sleep therapy.
Which is actually really smart.
Yeah.
That's a smart one.
Yeah.
And pest control truck.
The misanthrope pest control.
You are a happy camper, by the way.
Yes, I am. There were 3 burgers in this episode.
So that means you got...
I got my requirement of at least 3 per podcast episode because there are
plus
4
a
in
hot
total.
dog.
So 3 plus a hot dog.
3 plus a hot dog.
3 burgers and a hot dog. That's a very full barbecue plate.
It is.
Yeah. So we have the yam ship burger, comes with yams.
And that's before the land ship.
You can't fight city challah burger, comes on a challah roll, which I would be able to say better if I wasn't sick. But so we got our challah roll. I think that's a great they did that for Hanukkah, I think, once, didn't they?
I think so. Because you and I got very excited of like, ooh, challah sounds so good,
Yes.
like with a burger.
And the snip wrecked burger comes with parsnips.
It's a good one. I like these are good
solid.
burgers.
These are solid puns.
Like season 6 is really like, okay, we're giving Lauren almost exactly what she wants. Almost.
They're doing this specifically because Lauren has like in it's just in the past, my complaints have just resonated through time and space to the writers of Bob's Burgers. It's clearly what's happening here.
I am such a stickler for like proper time travel and all those discussions too, and I'm just like, is this a paradox?
I can't wait for you to get angry about the time travel in the season 3 Once Upon a Time finale.
No.
It's gonna be great. You're gonna be so angry.
I'm not gonna rant again about how time travel works. I'm going to be good, but I mean, how many times have I actually gone on that rant on this specific podcast?
Multiple times, I will say. I mean, when we get to that, how that time travel works, the whole time and space thing makes sense.
Okay.
Like the fact that they move in a different space makes sense given the way that, because like I say about, we'll stop talking about Once in a second, but the way I talk about the portals on Once Upon a Time, their portal logic, the only thing about it that's unsound is that they keep saying how hard portals are to come by, and they continue to just pop up whenever you need them. How the portals work is always the same, and it's like they follow that rule. Like the portals always operate the way that they're supposed to, unless stated otherwise.
So Jordan,
yes,
Tina's very short-lived boyfriend, is played by Nathan Fielder. The only thing I could really see that he had been in a lot was the rehearsal. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I think he did a great job with this role. The original title of this episode was going to be Spray Anything, a reference to the movie Say Anything. I think I like just calling it Landship better.
Yeah.
This is the first episode we see Tina in pants.
Yeah.
We will see her in pants again for other things. But if she has like actual physical activity that's happening, she puts pants on.
Okay, that's good.
And Tina and Jordan do their first tag together behind the vacant store next door.
Okay.
And this is our first appearance of the Fashion City Outlet Mall. We will be seeing that again.
Yep, because that sounds like a shopping center in Jersey.
Oh.
Like there's one, without doxing myself, there's one near me that might be almost exactly that.
That's hilarious. And this is the first episode to feature a co-writing credit from H. John Benjamin.
Oh, nice.
Along with Holly Schlesinger.
Gotcha.
So H. John Benjamin co-wrote this. And I'm just going to start it off with our TikTok sound. See you soon, baboon. Wait, spice it up. See you soon, bitch. Too spicy, too spicy. Oh, God, I said it. It's fine.
Okay, it's the Fashion Center.
Oh, okay,
I was
that's
very
fair.
close. Very close. I don't think I've ever heard that on TikTok.
Really? You've never heard that one?
No.
It's definitely a sound used a lot with social media. But I love it. Okay. It's like one of my favorite lines ever in this show. Tina being Tina.
Yeah. So I wrote down quite a few lines, actually. One of them, they're playing all the hits. I don't remember what that one's in reference to anymore. We did watch these a while back.
Yeah.
But Tina, you're such a goody two boobs.
Yeah.
Uh, Jean saying, "I'll have what she's having." I just went, Jean, how do you know? And there's my little ship heads.
I love that one.
I love when shows do that. They get away with saying a curse word without saying a curse word.
I love the maybe say spoiler before you give away the end of a movie, okay? And I'm like, buddy, it's Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like, I love, but I love that mentality of like, oh my god, spoilers. I'm like, this thing has been out for how long? This was my thing. I'm gonna go on a minor rant about
Here we
spoilers
go.
here. We have a rant here. We've hit something.
And it's not from Katie.
It's not from Katie. But I feel like on the Bob's ones, it's almost always me. I find something weird to
It's
rant about.
hilarious.
It's because like on the once ones, you find something to rant about, and vice versa. So when Avatar: The Last Airbender went on Netflix in 2020, this is the thing that bothered me because people were putting on Twitter and everything like, "Oh my, I'm finally watching this for the first time. No spoilers," and I'm like, the show has been off. The show. I mean, I get not everyone watched it when it aired. Whatever.
I never
The
finished
show.
it.
I think the final season aired of Last Airbender, the original series, in 2007. I think this was 13 years later. But I wanted to be like, okay, it's one thing to tell people like, don't intentionally tell me how things happen. You've been seeing memes that are spoilers for the last however long you've been online. Like all you people that are saying like, oh, no spoilers, I've never seen this before. You've been sharing my cabbages memes. Like truthfully. Like I'm it's the statute of limitations has expired on
Yes.
this piece of media. Yes, you may not have been a part of it at the time, but like, yeah, I will be cognizant of talking to someone that's watching it the first time to not spoil the ending if you want me to. I'm very, if you tell me this, I say this all the time with my once account, you may get spoilers because I do talk about the show in its entirety. So
That's why
if you haven't
Katie
seen it,
doesn't
so
come
Katie
around
doesn't
for
look at
that.
Lauren's account. But like people pop into my lives like, oh, I'm watching it for the first time. I'm like, okay, great. I'm not, this is my space. I don't know I don't know when you're going to be in here. So like, you might get spoiled. The show's been off the air for 6 years.
I literally
Like,
will not Google Once Upon a Time.
yeah.
So I don't get spoilers.
There you go. Like, my statute of limitations on spoilers is the piece of media has to have been out and completed for a year. So for movies, if it's been out for a year, or TV shows, if the final season, the most recent season, aired a year ago. Other than that, statute of limitations on spoilers is gone. I saw someone put a spoiler warning on something for a video for about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That show ended in what, 2003?
Yeah.
Like, I think the statute of limitations is like, you can say we're talking about this like on the videos that I post, like complete clips of Once Upon a Time with my dubbing over them. It says the season and the episode. So if you know that you have, because someone said this in one of my voiceover videos, was like, "Oh my god, spoiler!" And I'm like,
Then scroll.
this clip. I mean, that was one time that I didn't have as before I started doing the episode code as like as practice. But I it took everything in me not to go, this is from season 5, so the episode this is from is, I don't know, at the time like 6 years old. The thing that just got spoiled is a 10-year-old plot point because it was revealed in season 2. This scene is just from 2005. It took everything in me to be like, I'm not gonna mitigate spoilers on something that's been out for over a decade. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, I'm not like, you can keep scrolling. I can't control who sees this video. It's not gonna only send people that have only seen this scene. If it's a scene from Once Upon a Time, it clearly said Once Upon a Time, but if it's a scene from Once Upon a Time that doesn't look familiar, scroll. Don't keep watching.
Which is funny because I recently saw someone post a thread. So, recording this August 30th, I've already seen the Deadpool Wolverine movie. We saw it opening weekend. And someone did post, they're like, I've got to admit, like, a lot of people have been really great about not posting spoilers or trying to, like, warn people when they have a video up about it or trying not to. And they're like, the last person I expected to have like so many different things in the movie spoiled from was not Ryan Reynolds. Because within the 2 weeks after less than 2 weeks that the movie came out, he was posting, oh, this character's this cameo's this. Yeah. I really love working with such and such. Like, and people are like, dude, can you give us like maybe a month to get to go see it? Because not everybody can go in the first 2 weeks. Not everybody can get there. We got really lucky. It was great. But not everybody's able to. But yeah, no, Ryan Reynolds has been spoiling Deadpool Wolverine for a lot of people. And I'm just like, yeah, no, that sounds about right. Yeah.
The only time I've ever seen an instance of like intentional spoiling of something where it was like, it was done in, it was not done in good faith, but it was done in a way that is okay for all parties. Because, and this is my last thing, we can get back to Bob's in a second, but I say that all the time. These rants are
We
whatever they
always
are.
do this.
But so my friends, coworkers, the first spoilers for the end of Game of Thrones and Avengers Endgame. At this point, you should know what I'm talking about.
Oh, come on. If you don't know
I'm
Endgame by
just
now.
saying. I'm putting it out there.
It's Endgame.
Skip in 30 seconds if you want to hear this, but I'm sure you know the answer. So two of my friends' coworkers were talking, and the one guy accidentally, he didn't realize his friend hadn't seen the end of Game of Thrones, mentioned like, "Wow, so crazy how Arya killed the Night King and all this other stuff," and he was like, "What?" Because he hadn't seen it yet. He's like, "Oh shit!" He went dead in the eyes. He just went, "Tony Stark dies," like, just like intentionally was like spoiling Endgame for him.
Oh, wow.
Like as retaliation, but like it's two friends in more or less good faith kind of thing of just like, okay, here's something I'm gonna spoil for you, which I found that kind of hilarious. But
which is so funny because Tony Stark is technically back.
Yeah, I guess he's
Robert Downey Jr. coming back as
Doom.
Doctor Doom has me conflicted when it comes to the Marvel fan base.
Yeah, a lot of especially with that stuff. A lot of I stick to what I say with a lot of things is I will reserve judgment until I see how it's done. Yes. Simply an announcement tells me nothing.
I just feel for Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So much. So yeah, Bob's
Back
Burgers.
to Bob's Burgers.
We always do this.
We go on so many rants. But so I need to say this though. The fact this episode's called Landship, I think I was telling you, just reminds me of a character from Ghosts who he's a Viking and he calls cars land ships, and anytime they see a car he just goes landship, just like yelling it. But it's become a joke with his character that like he doesn't know the terminology for things, but he'll just keep doing it. At this point we're never sure if he's messing with anybody or not, because at one point he said something about how someone is so rich their landship was upholstered with cow, and one of the more modern ghosts went, "Are you just messing with us? I've heard you say leather."
Oh my god.
So
I need to watch this show, man.
You really do. Ghost season by the time this episode comes out, season 4 will have started because it starts in October.
I am still at this time finishing iZombie. I am determined to finish it before it leaves Netflix because I never know where it's going to end up after that.
That's fair.
You don't know where it's going to end up. Mm-hmm. If you're going to have access, if you're not, depends on you have the streaming service. And I'm obsessed. Yeah. So it's very interesting that I've been sending Lauren different random pictures of like, hey, someone from Once Upon a Time has decided to come in for a episode.
The ones you've sent me aren't necessarily indicative of this, but iZombie also filmed in Vancouver, which is why I think the same that's why the same voice actors. It's why the same guest stars pop in and out. Raphael Sabarge doesn't count. I think he's based in LA, but like David Anders I believe is a Vancouver based. I think. Before I speak, let me.
Oh, and he's so much better as
Blaine is a good character for him.
So he's so good as Blaine.
I know nope, never mind. David Anders is American.
Burgers, but
David, I misspoke. So he's not Vancouver based, but my guess is if you see a lot of like guest actors, a lot of them are.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Bob's Burgers.
Back to Bob's Burgers, yes. It's impressive though that a kid was able to plan all that graffiti.
Really though, how did he do it? And Tina was really smart how she figured it out too.
Yeah, well, like the drawing, the like with the hand drawn, that one, I feel like that one. It makes sense for a kid, just kind of like people don't really pay attention to teenagers just kind of like standing somewhere, but like the spray paint, like that's impressive to get to be able to do that.
Especially the extent of the ship sail.
Yeah.
So many ship sails this week.
Jordan, honey, you're in a little over your head, but I do appreciate the commitment to the kiss and the jumping and the tagging of the land ship. I appreciate the commitment. Although when he sucks on her face, he kind of looked like Squidward.
Just a little,
just a tiny bit.
We're sticking to a theme of teenagers are the worst.
I'm Squidward. Sorry.
We have brain rot.
I've been sick for a week at this point. Like my brain, I'm shocked I have any functioning brain cells left.
I am too. I didn't really write a lot on this episode. I think my kids were like, "Mom, are you done with what you're doing at this point of my day?" I did write though that Bob not being able to let go of Tina is like so accurate as a parent, because you're just like, I want to let you go because I don't want to hold you up because this kind of sucks, but at the same time, I love you. You're my child. I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Like this is where I'm at now. But I think this is a pretty good episode
Yeah.
since we've barely talked about the
Yeah.
episode.
They could have had a better, I'll talk about the plot. They should have had a better plan for moving the porta potties than pushing them with the truck.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking maybe they would like, I don't know, feed rope under them or something and like use the truck to pull them that way. Like pulling would have made more sense than pushing.
Yeah, I have to agree.
So
Linda getting like all dressed up though.
like she's dressed in black, and all she has is her little black dress, which is very Linda of her.
It's very Linda of her.
And then, oh, I wrote down out damn spot. I guess when Tina is trying to scrub the spray paint off her hands, because tagging with like those kinds of stencils, that is impressive. Like especially the huge ones for the land ship, like the regular, like the small ones, whatever. Because you have to. This is the thing: is you need to have the spatial awareness to understand how to create the negative of what it is that you want. That I don't have. I don't understand. I can only solve a Rubik's Cube if I follow a specific algorithm. I can't just like look at how it's done and fix it. My brain doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So you need like that's like very talent. That's very talent. Yeah.
I think we found your brain cells.
I think they're gone. I think they're just gone.
Yeah. They're just gone. It's okay. Everything's great.
Everything's fine. I would say I'd have them back by our next recording session, but I honestly can't guarantee that.
No. Mine will be gone by then anyways. It's okay. So what did you rate this?
So Landship gets, I just like saying it. I guess I want to say it.
Landship.
I want to say it like Thor, but it wouldn't make any sense. Landship. Sorry, because this character, the Viking's name is Thorfinn, by the way.
I love that.
Which, fun fact. So before I get to this, go back to another tangent. So Ghost,
to another TV show.
So Ghost is set in, I'm going to say slightly upstate New York because it's set actually in the county where I went to college, and the point is people die on the property and they stay there. So one of them is a Viking. There is evidence of Vikings that from like the thousands. They sailed to Canada and made their way down the coast, and there is evidence of Vikings in upstate New York, just saying.
Which I love, because they did a lot of fur trading with Native Americans.
Yeah, the historical accuracy, I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that they got very wrong, but the historical accuracy of like the types of people you would see on that property throughout the centuries is fantastic. When I gave Landship, I gave it a 10 for plot, because this chaos was like it was, because this was a case of like the chaos was interconnected in that it both had to do with the land ship. You had the porta potties with the parade and Tina with the ship itself. It's connected subtly, and that's all I really need. Like in a way that makes sense. And then I gave it an 8 for character and an 8 for personal. So this one gets a 26.
That's not bad.
Good score.
Season 6 is getting a good start for you. I gave plot and personal 6. Like, not my favorite episode. It's good. Character 8. So this only has a 20 for me.
Oh, wow.
But I also have seen all of Bob's Burgers many, many times. So I should have put it to, that's why.
Yeah,
that's why.
That's fair.
But I'm really excited, though, that you do get to see, like, the next one is the Haunting. Obviously, you're going to like episode 4, Gail making bobsled.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's Gail. And then, of course, episode 5 is called Nice Capades. That is our Christmas episode.
Gotcha.
So it gets interesting.
We'll see how it goes.
The thing I'm most excited for season 6 is that the last episode of season 6 is our 100th episode.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So yay. And it's also one of my favorite episodes that I think you will thoroughly enjoy. Okay. So season 5, we realized you really did enjoy. I think you're also going to really enjoy season 6.
I find it kind of infinitely hilarious right now that like, I know I joke, but I really am dragging you through the first half of season 3 of Once Upon a Time. And I'm just over here vibing with Bob's.
Because it's so much fun.
Yeah. But you'll see what I mean.
Once we get to the Frozen arc, I'll be a lot happier.
I think once you get to the second half of season 3, you'll be a lot happier.
That's fair.
Because you won't have the evil teenagers. I'm not kidding. And I think you're going to see what I mean when I say that 3, 6, and 9 are the best episodes of that arc. And like 11 to an extent, because it's the culmination and you see what happens next. But once we get to season 3B, where the villain's not a teenager, so you're not just like teenagers are the worst. Why is Peter Pan evil? What's happening here? You see similar dynamics in like the antagonist to hero perspective, but it's a little different. It's in a way that I think is more enjoyable as a whole for us as adults.
Mm-hmm.
And Pretty Lady with a British accent is gonna be hard to beat.
That's really,
Just
yeah.
saying.
Let's do this. I'm ready.
The queen may be evil, but I'm wicked. Wicked always wins. Like, it's hard to beat that. Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Once Upon a Time, episode 306, Ariel. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our Patreon, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Katie and Lauren and edited by Katie.